Welcome back, adventurers. Today, we're venturing into the chilling depths of Dungeons & Dragons lore, focusing on the sinister biology and reproductive cycle of the Mind Flayers. This deep dive will unravel the mysteries of Ceremorphosis, from tadpoles to elder brains, explore the colony-expanding Ulithorids, and catalogue Flayakin and other aberrant byproducts of illithid experimentation. Sharpen your minds. Let's begin our journey into the ultimate horror of transformation. Let's lay the groundwork. Mind Flayers, or illithids, possess a bizarre life cycle built not on anything resembling mammalian birth, but instead on a reproductive process that is as alien as it is terrifying. Mind Flayers are inherently agender and do not reproduce sexually. Instead, periodically in their lifetimes, they produce clutches of tiny eggs which are deposited in viscous pools known as brine pools at the heart of their colonies. This is where the illithid life cycle truly takes root. What hatches from these eggs is far from what you'd expect. Illithid tadpoles, each no more than a few inches in length. These tadpoles are wholly dependent on their environment and other members of the colony. For roughly 10 years, they exist in the brine pool, which is often overseen by colony caretakers and, most crucially, the elder brain. The brine pool is every bit a crucible as it is a nursery. Only the most ruthless, cunning, and voracious tadpoles survive long enough to mature. The environment within the brine pool is disturbingly brutal. Tadpoles are not only fed defeated foes or sacrificial victims, typically the brains of humanoids, but they also engage in cannibalism. Each tadpole must outcompete and outconsume its siblings, cultivating the illithid traits of predation and dominance from their earliest moments. Much like the elder brain that governs them, this selection process ensures only the strongest reach the next phase. The culmination of a tadpole's time in the brine pool is the process known as ceremorphosis. This is the anchor of illithid reproduction. Let's break down ceremorphosis step by step. When a colony requires new Mind Flayers, suitable humanoid hosts, always alive and typically rendered docile through psionic means, are selected. The species and physical characteristics of the host are vital to the process. The ceremorphosis procedure is as horrifying as it is precise. A mature tadpole is inserted into the victim's skull, most often through a nostril, ear canal, or eye socket. Once inside, the tadpole begins to rapidly burrow into the host's brain, consuming the organ entirely in a matter of hours. The victim's intellect, personality, and memories are irreversibly destroyed at this stage, replaced by the burgeoning consciousness of the tadpole. However, the transformation doesn't stop with the brain. Over the course of about 1 week, the host's body undergoes grotesque and comprehensive changes. Organs are rewritten and reshaped. Limbs lengthen and twist. The skin becomes rubbery, pale, and slick with protective mucus. Even the facial structure is reconfigured as the host's jaw and mouth dissolve and are replaced with signature illithid tentacles. At the end of this process, a new Mind Flayer emerges, adolescent by Mind Flayer standards, and ready for induction into illithid society. It's crucial to note that only a limited set of humanoid species are compatible hosts for ceremorphosis. Humans, elves, including drow, githyanki, githzerai, grimlocks, gnolls, goblinoids, and orcs are viable, provided they fall within specific size and mass ranges. The ritual is even so exacting that only hosts between certain weights and heights, generally 130 to 270 pounds and around 5.5 to 6 feet, survive the ordeal. Deviations from these strict parameters spell death for both host and tadpole. What happens if you try to force ceremorphosis on an incompatible host, such as dwarves, Durga, halflings, or centaurs? The tadpole and host typically die, but the story doesn't end there. In some cases, with magical interference or experimental tampering, ceremorphosis can yield more unusual results. Hybrid abominations, collectively known as ceremorphs or flayakin. These illithid-spawned anomalies sometimes possess unique forms and abilities, serving as monstrous members of illithid society. Let's explore some of these flayakin. When a tadpole is implanted in a beholder, The result is the mind witness, a many-eyed telepathic amplifier. Tadpoles placed within chul create the uchualon, serving as enforcers. In Rupa hosts, they become Europhian, which are guardians for illithid lairs. Other infamous variants include the Brain Stealer Dragon, a Mind Flayer dragon hybrid capable of devastating psionics and physical might. Experimental ceremorphosis can even result in half-illithid abominations. For instance, tampered rituals allow gnomes to produce ceremorphs, though often these yield deformed and tragically short-lived creatures like gnome squidlings. Other examples include Mosgrican from deep gnomes after shadow-infused psychic surgery, Sakandi from lizardfolk, and rare Yuan-Tillithid, fusing illithid with Yuan-Ti traits. These flayakin are relegated to varying status in illithid society, most often as expendable slaves or guards, but sometimes as specialized tools of domination. Not all tadpoles meet their end through ceremorphosis or consumption by the elder brain. Some evade both fates, especially after the destruction or abandonment of a colony. These rare survivors may undergo disturbing transformations, the most fearsome of which is the neothelid. Neothelids are massive, worm-like aberrations, growing to gigantic proportions, and quickly developing potent psionics and a voracious appetite for brains. However, they lack the intelligence, discipline, or connection to a illithid society. Mind flayers view neothelids as catastrophic abominations, eradicating them with extreme prejudice. There's another lesser-known offshoot, the illithocyte. When tadpoles survive without reaching ceremorphosis, yet fail to become neothelids, they may instead develop into illithocytes. These 4-foot-long slug-like creatures move in swarms, subsisting on psychic radiation and acting wholly on instinct. Illithocytes lack higher reasoning, but are aggressive and represent another evolutionary dead end, typically preying on and being preyed upon in the ruined Underdark. Let's turn our focus to the rarest evolutionary branch, oolitharids. Occasionally, due to unknown factors, a tadpole undergoing ceremorphosis becomes an oolitharid instead of a typical mind flayer. Oolitharids are larger, more physically imposing, possess 6 tentacles instead of 4, and can resist the direct control of an elder brain. Treated as nobility or demigods among their kin, oolitharids are both envied and feared. Crucially, they are the only known branch capable of metamorphosing into new elder brains, thus seeding entirely new colonies. The elder brain is the centerpiece of illithid society, both biological entity and collective consciousness. Consisting of the conjoined neural mass of deceased mind flayers, preserved and grown over the centuries, the elder brain floats at the colony's core. It issues commands telepathically to every illithid within up to 5 miles, storing the sum of the colony's thoughts, memories, and experiences. Yet, the elder brain rules absolutely, in return for the death of individuality. Upon death, an illithid's brain is preserved and ritually merged into the elder brain's mass. Only knowledge and skill pass on. The joining mind flayer's identity is lost forever, a secret maintained by the elder brains to encourage loyalty. Elder brains themselves are not stationary forever. They occasionally migrate in brine pools, and a new elder brain may gestate when an oolitharid takes colony members and founds a new enclave. The elder brain serves more than just as a leader. It's the spiritual center, judge, library, and memory of the colony. It is also a vicious predator. Elder brains feed exclusively on the psychic energy of thousands of tadpoles, ensuring their continued dominance and managing population control within the pool. Colony structure is profoundly shaped by this reproductive cycle. The brine pool forms the heart of every illithid city, both literally and figuratively. The balance of power among mind flayers, illitharids, and the elder brain is maintained by the constant threat of ceremorphosis and psychic dominance. Even the rise of a new illitharid is a moment of crisis, precipitating expansion or even civil conflict. With those basics covered, let's take a moment to address some of the failed or intentionally modified byproducts of illithid bioengineering. intellect devourers. Brains given new form and autonomy originated from the magical and psychic warping of captive slaves. Brain golems, powerful constructs made of congealed neural tissue, defend elder brains and secure the colony's command centers. Unsurprisingly, illithids have experimented with almost every conceivable mutation to better subjugate their thralls and rivals. Further still, illithid dietary needs are directly linked to their reproductive system. Once transformed via ceremorphosis, an illithid cannot internally produce vital hormones or essential psychic energy. Accordingly, they must consume at least one intelligent brain per month to survive, extracting both nutrients and psychic essence necessary for life. This predatory dependence is a constant, driving force behind their relentless quest for thralls and new hosts. Let's wrap back to ceremorphosis and its consequences. The process is nearly irreversible after the brain is devoured. Restoration of the original personality or revival is almost impossible, requiring high-level magic or a miracle. On rare occasions, a transformed illithid may unwittingly demonstrate vestigial mannerisms or memories of the host, known as partialism, a condition feared as a threat to psychic purity. Secrecy and security are paramount. Ceremorphosis rituals, brine pools, and even the existence of tadpoles are protected at all costs. Outsiders who discover these secrets are often annihilated, or, more ironically, become hosts themselves. Certain colonies also undertake dangerous experiments in hopes of expanding the range of viable hosts, or attempting to create more stable or powerful Flayakin. In summary, illithid biology shapes every aspect of their society. From their tragic method of reproduction, psychic tyranny, and the enigmatic rise of elder brains, to the monsters born from failed rituals, every aspect is entwined with the drive to dominate, consume, and perpetuate their aberrant lineage. In the end, Mind Flayer reproduction is both a mechanism of horror and a linchpin of their cosmic design. Thanks for journeying with us through the depths of Mind Flayer ceremorphosis and reproductive biology. If you enjoyed this exploration, leave a comment with some homebrew Flayakin ideas of your own. Subscribe for more in-depth D&D lore. And as always, may your mind remain your own. For now.